fell together to make truly a night of pure light. As we all know, Rabotai, it's not just Erev Tov, it's what? Rosh Chodesh Tov. It is Rosh Chodesh. So it's not just a regular day, now it's like a Chag. Because we know, Rabotai, at the time of the Bet HaMikdash, Rosh Chodesh, it was like you say Shabbat. It was a day where you sit down and you do the meals, and it was another opportunity for Jews to gather and to be do lechaim and to eat and to drink. Today, in today's generation, we don't use it like a Shabbat, but it's still a Chag. To the point where Chazal even said that if a person doesn't dress on Rosh Chodesh, it's a little bit special, it's like a person that's embarrassing the Moadot. It's like a person that's embarrassing the holiday. So it's mamash a day, Rabotai, to celebrate. Now, Rabotai, the Gemara, this is just an introduction before the shiur. The Gemara in Masechet Brachot, it says every person that mechadesh et hachodesh, a person that renews the month, and he does it with a way of beracha, he does it with a way of kedusha, it is as if on that day of Rosh Chodesh he is accepting and bringing down the light of the Shekhinah. That when we gather on the day of Rosh Chodesh and we make it really a festival day, what we are doing, we are accepting the Shekhinah itself, and we mentioned this many times. Why it's like the Shekhinah? Because we know the moon is what? The moon is the Shekhinah that protects us, Bnei Israel. As Jews, we go according to the sun or to the moon? We're going to the moon. Why? Because the Levona is a name of the Shekhinah, that through that Shekhinah, HaKadosh Baruch Hu blesses us. So may HaKadosh Baruch Hu B'at Hashem, in the merit of today, Rosh Chodesh, give us light for the entire month to come, and may this month B'at Hashem be a preparation for many, many months of light to come. Amen. Tonight, Rabotai, I'm not finished. It's also what? It's also Tuesday night, Monday night. Erev Tuesday, Monday night. Every Monday night, Rabotai, whenever there's an opportunity, we go late for everyone to settle. We know that every single day of the week, we speak about what we call the Sefirah of the day. So we know, Rabotai, that there are 7 days in the week, and every single day receives its beracha, receives its light from a different Sefirah. So Sunday we have Chesed, kindness. Monday we have Gevurah. Monday night, Tuesday, we have what? Tiferet. Now Tiferet, Rabotai, like I mentioned all the time, is a very unique Sefirah. Because Tiferet is not like all the other Sefirot. What is Sefirot? It's like divine attributes. So what is Tiferet? Tiferet is not like the other attributes that when you act in the way of Tiferet, you can tap into the light and bring down some beracha. Tiferet acts in a completely different and a completely unique way of all the Sefirot. The Tiferet actually acts as what? Acts as the suit for Hashem. That HaKadosh Baruch Hu, even though we say that we're born in His shape and we're created in His shape, He doesn't need a shape, He doesn't need a body, He doesn't have a body, He doesn't have even an image. So the Zohar HaKadosh says that HaKadosh Baruch Hu uses the Tiferet as a suit to wear to act in the world. The day of Tuesday is the day of Limud Torah. Why the day of Limud Torah? Because Tuesday attaches to Yaakov. Yaakov is Yoshev Ta'ar Moshe V'Alim, and Yaakov is Titem et Yaakov. The Tuesday is the day of Torah. Zohar HaKadosh says, if a person on the day of Tuesday, on the day of Tiferet, gets up and he spreads Torah, and he greatens Torah, and he studies Torah, a person like that, the Zohar says, the Tiferet himself, which is HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Tiferet itself, which is HaKadosh Baruch Hu, will come down to the world, and he will bless that man personally. But actually, on the day of Tiferet, today, it is the most important time to spread Torah. And I always say, any time, any Tuesday, take the opportunity to send a Dvar Torah, to take someone, sit him down, teach him Torah. If you saw him put him on tefillin. Do any effort you can do to spread Torah. If you spread Torah on Tuesday, you will bring beracha, because HaKadosh Baruch Hu himself comes down to bless a person. So the merit that we're all gathering today, we're going to do a Shul Torah, mostly Zohar, but a Shul Torah period, is something that is very big that we can add on top. There's a lot happening today, Rabotai Mechila. Today is also the Yulula of two big tzaddikim that have one thing in common. That they were two miracle makers. First one, for all the Moroccans, Rabbi David Moshe. That always, Rabbi David Moshe, it's like, you know, the grandmothers, there was names, they always get held. Rabbi Pinto, Rabbi Chatzira, Rabbi David Moshe, Rabbi Amram Diwan. There were names of tzaddikim that all the older generation, they held them like it was air to breathe. And the second tzaddik was a much older tzaddik, Rabbi Shimon AT Tzaddik, which is actually, name is Hat Tzaddik, Vet Tzaddik. You know, I will tell you one story to bring about Rabbi Shimon Tzaddik. It truly is an inspiring story that we can learn so much of it, and also it connects to Rabbi David Moshe, all the tzaddikim, all the miracle that he did. It's a story that is brought in Masechet Yoma. That it said about Rabbi Shimon Tzaddik that there was a time where Alexander Mukdon, the great Alexander, was essentially the king of the entire world, and he ruled Israel, he ruled Greece, he ruled everywhere. The entire world was under his power. The Gemara says, Masechet Yoma, that one day, a group of travelers, they came and they wanted to do revenge, to bring revenge upon Yerushalayim. So they went to Alexander Mukdon and they told Alexander Mukdon, Bnei Israel, the temple that is built in Yerushalayim, they hate you, and they promote propaganda, and they promote the beginning of a the beginning of a revolution against your empire. So Alexander Mukdon, he looked, he said, I don't understand. The Jews were always my big supporters. The Jews always did exactly what I asked from them. What is it that you come and you say that suddenly the Jews are going against my will? So this group of people, they said, you know what? You want to test the Jews? No problem. Take sheep, send them to Eretz Israel, send them to Yerushalayim, and see if they're going to sacrifice it. If they're going to take your sacrifice, fine. They still follow you. If they're going to deny your sacrifice, that's obvious that they're against you. So right away, Alexander Mukdon said, you know, it's a good idea. So he took that group of people, he gave them sheep, he gave them sacrifices. He said, take this to Yerushalayim, tell the Kohen Gadol, sacrifices for me. This group of people said, we're going to do a trick on the Jews. We're going to take all the sheep that the king brought, and we're going to make a hole in them. We're going to make them pagum, blemished. Where suddenly they're not going to be whole, they're not going to be complete. So they took all those sheep and they blemished them. They took all the cows and they blemished them. And they brought them to Yerushalayim. When they came to Yerushalayim, they gave the korbanot, the gift to the king. And the king is requesting for you to sacrifice this for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The Kohanim looked at it and they said, well, what do we do? On one side, it's the king, and we have to respect the will of the king. But on the other side, they're blemished. According to the halacha, we cannot sacrifice them. So the Gemara said they even argued and even discussed whether or not they should go against a mitzvah just to not put themselves in a situation of a danger of being in trouble with the king. The main priest, the Kohen Gadol, which was Rabbi Shimon AT Tzaddik, he was the Kohen Gadol for 80 years, got up and he said, there is no way we're going to sacrifice something which is impure for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So take the sheep, return it to Alexander, tell him we're not going to accept your sacrifice. He said, okay. This group, they were dancing, they were happy. They said, why, Alik, now? We're going to go to Alexander. We're going to prove to him that we were right, that really, Bnei Israel went against him. So they took the cattle, they took all the sheep, they brought it back to Alexander. They said, look, Bnei Israel don't want your sacrifice. They don't think that you're good enough to give a gift to God from yours. So Alexander said, okay, what do you want? So this group of people said, we want all your army to march to Yerushalayim, and we want to take Bet HaMikdash. Alexander Mukdon said, me and my army are in your disposal, we do whatever you want. So Alexander Mukdon marched, assembled his entire military, and himself marched towards Yerushalayim. The word spread that Alexander is bringing an entire army to take Bet HaMikdash. So people that lived in Yerushalayim started to get stressed. They said, Alexander is the strongest king, the great Alexander, the strongest king in the world. Our walls will no chance stand against Alexander. So everyone was stressed. They went to the main priest, to the Kohen Gadol. Maybe the Kohen could pray. The biggest man in Israel. Only his prayers will help. So when they heard the news, it says Rabbi Shimon Kohen, the tzaddik, went and he told his servants, bring me the clothing of Yom Kippur. Which we know about that the Kohen was not allowed to wear the clothing of Yom Kippur in the middle of the year. Rabbi Shimon Tzaddik took the clothing of Yom Kippur, took 2 people with him, and they said, we leave Yerushalayim at night, we run out. We escape. The 2 people that were with him, they didn't understand Rabbi Shimon Tzaddik is escaping, and he's wearing the clothes of Yom Kippur. What's happening here? They escaped in the night, and the entire night they traveled. The Gemara says that when the sun started to rise, in the entire night they were walking towards Alexander Mugdan, and Alexander Mugdan walking towards Yerushalayim. When the sun started to rise, Rabbi Shimon HaTzadik and Alexander Mugdan's army started to see each other. So right away they assembled a few soldiers, they ran to Alexander, they told Alexander, there's 3 Jews, they're here to see you. So Alexander Mugdan said, bring them in. They opened up, you know how imagine a military would have millions. They opened up the army and they let Rabbi Shimon HaTzadik and his 2 helpers walk amongst all the groups of soldiers that were assembled to go destroy Yerushalayim. Alexander Mugdan got up, went on his horse, and started to march towards Rabbi Shimon. When he got in front of Rabbi Shimon, the Gemara says something unimaginable, unexpected happened. The great Alexander sees Rabbi Shimon, jumps off his horse. Everyone said Alexander is going to go kill the main priest. That's what they thought. Jumps off the horse, walks up to Rabbi Shimon, gets down on his knees and starts to bow down to Rabbi Shimon. All the military is saying, what's happening here? Rabbi Shimon is a Jew. We're about to go destroy them, and our king is bowing down to them. So Alexander Mugdan got up and he told his soldiers, I have to tell you my secret how I won every single war. Alexander Mugdan said, every single war that I went to, I had a sign that I knew whether or not I'm going to win or lose the war. That if I had the sign that I was going to win, I know I go full force. If I didn't receive the sign, I know I'm going to lose, and I back out and I don't lose one man. So they said, what was the sign? They said, any time I was about to win a war, an image came to me of what? An image of this man wearing this clothing. That he was the sign that I was going to win the war, and it's because of him I have what I have today, empire of the world. And that, Abotai, was the koach, the power of Rabbi Shimon. That even years before he got up and wanted to do something, years before he had to get up and to do a miracle, HaKadosh Baruch Hu was already working towards his favor years before. That was the koach of these both tzaddikim. Rabbi David Moshe, big miracle maker. Rabbi Shimon HaTzadik, big miracle maker. And may Be'ezrat Hashem, their merits stand with us and protect us all, Be'ezrat Hashem, for the entire new year to come. Amen. Be'ezrat Hashem. Now, Abotai, we're going to start a shiur. So today, Abotai, whoever doesn't come to the shiurim, I have a problem. I like to do a big okay. So today we're going to do our shiur, Be'ezrat Hashem, about something very, very important. That I think it's a problem that we all deal with. Now, Abotai, Baruch Hashem, and I'm going to say Baruch Hashem for a reason. A lot of the times, when people come to see me, my father, when people even talk to each and every one of us as individuals, and you see that the problems, the struggles that people tell you, that not only what people are telling you, the struggles that we see in our own lives, whether if it's Parasha, whether if it's zivug, whether if it's nefesh, within ourselves. It could be for some people confidence, it could be for somebody health, it could be work, it could be anything. Happiness. We see our that every one of us, we have a place in our life where we feel that it is hard. We have a place in our life that we struggle. We have a place in our life that it's not very easy. So I want Abotai today to talk about what is this reasoning of having some time, Abotai, struggle in our life, and why do we need it? Why is it, Abotai, that every one of us has a side in us that constantly tries to pull us down, tries to pull our morale down, tries to pull our happiness down, tries to tell us that no, you can't do it? What is this strength, this side that is negative, that always tries to pull us down? Who is this negative side? Where does it come from? And how can one truly strengthen himself to protect himself from this negative side?
Secret of life. You're going to give us the secret of life.
Ma?
The secret of life.
This is why I love Rabbi Yaakov. Always adds a beautiful little... What's the secret of life? So you know what, but maybe it really is the secret of life. Well, you know what, that should have been the title of this show. The secret of life. So you know, Abotai, when we think about all these struggles that we go through throughout our life, we want to understand, where does it come from? Who is in charge of these struggles, and how can one truly protect himself and grow from these struggles? So So now, Botai, as we all know, in life, there is two sides to everything. A good and a bad. For every thought you had to do a good thought, it comes from a good source, Yetzer Tov. Your good side, what's Yetzer Tov? The
good inclination.
Good inclination. For every bad thought, for every struggle, for every hard thing that the person goes through, it comes from the evil inclination. Very simple math. There's a beautiful Zohar that asks this question. And I think it explains it better than most of us could try to grasp it. The Zohar Kadosh in Parasha Teruma, in page Kuf Samech Bet. That there it brings a question that we say every single day in our lives. So we know about that every day we read many times in the day Shema Yisrael. In the Shema Yisrael, what do we mention? We mention this concept that a person needs to live his life, he needs to love HaKadosh Baruch Hu. In what way? Bechol levavecha. That the Torah, because Shema comes from the Torah, it's a written pasuk, the Torah here is to teach you that everything you do in your life, if it's loving Hashem, if it's work, if it's anything you do, needs to be done bechol levavecha. What does bechol levavecha mean? It means with both of your hearts. That it speaks not in a singular fashion, where it says bechol levcha, and to love Hashem, to work with your heart, but it actually says everything that needs to be successful must be done with hearts. The Zohar asks, why is the Zohar, why is the Torah trying to tell us that we must worship Hashem, we need to love Hashem, we need to act in order to succeed with both of our hearts? And the Zohar answers something amazing. So Zohar says, as we know about like we mentioned a moment ago, every single person, he has what? He has a good inclination, he has a bad inclination. That essentially the entire world is run on this fashion of good and bad. The Zohar says that HaKadosh Baruch Hu leads the world with two attributes. First attribute, chesed. What is chesed? Kindness. Hashem being kind, giving when he's not supposed to, forgiving when a person does something wrong, with pure, complete kindness. And the second attribute that HaKadosh Baruch Hu runs the world with what? Judgment, gevurah. So kindness represents good, gevurah represents bad, sometimes being tough, sometimes being strong. And we see that everything in life, Abotai, there's a balance of good and there's a balance of bad. Last week's parasha we read, HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the tree of life, and to back, side by side with the tree of life, what did he create? The tree of knowledge. That everything, Abotai, in our world is balanced, one good, one bad. When we talk about up represents good, down represents bad. Everything, Abotai, has an exact balance. That balance is given to us in order to be with freedom. So the same way that there is a good side and a bad side to everything, even to our own neshama, to our own heart, we have two sides of it. There's a good heart and a bad heart. That there is a side that's going to take you to positive things, to good things, to success, to motivate you, and there's going to be a side that's going to try to pull you down, it's going to try to make you fall in sins, it's going to try to make a person, give a person something to trip on throughout the walk of life. The Zohar says that the only way that a person can succeed with Avodat Hashem, with anything in his life, is if he does it with both of his hearts. With his good heart and with his bad heart. That every good act that he does, it's done with the good heart and the bad heart. Now, Botai, Zohar asks a question. How is that possible? How can you act with your bad heart when your bad heart wants to take you to a bad place, and when your good heart wants to take you to a good place? We know that this bad side doesn't come because we are crooked or we are not pure inside. This bad side comes from where? From Yetzer Hara. What is Yetzer Hara? It's the Satan, it's Malach HaMavet, it's Samael, it's everything. All bad that exists in the world comes from a bad angel. How can we make Yetzer Hara walk in a good path? How can we bring Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination, to a point where he's actually supporting our motive, supporting our goal, and walking with us, like what the Zohar says, you walk with both your hearts. How is that even possible? Is that even a possibility that one can reach? We will cause Yetzer Hara to get up and to do teshuvah, so-called. And the Zohar answers something simple. He says, yes. And that is the key to success, and I will explain. That the key to success is a man taking all the bad, and a man taking Yetzer Hara himself, and all those thoughts that hold him back, and everything that is hard on him, and understanding that this is a part of something good. That actually he's taking the bad and he's directing it, he's guiding it towards his own success. Because even the bad, it's what? It's good, but why is it good? Because we're learning. But without the bad, there is no concept of success. Because when could a person get up and say, I succeeded, I am victorious, I had victory? You can't have victory when you're just good. If a person is completely good, or it's like, I'll give you an example, an army. You have two armies, both friendly. Is there a victory between them? It's all good, there's no victory. When does victory come to a person? When does success come to a person? When there is a somewhat of a bad, and a person finds a place in his heart to overcome. That once you overcome the bad, you're essentially taking the bad and using the bad to make what? To create a success. That only with bad, one could create success. You can't expect to succeed in something without having an objective, without having an objective. If you didn't have an objective, you didn't succeed. You did something and that's it. You acted and there was nothing holding you back of succeeding. So actually, Rabotai, what brings us this concept of success? The hardships we go throughout our lives. That even what we perceive to be bad is actually the tools that are given to us in order to succeed in everything that we do. That if a person was only able to look at the bad and understand that even the hardship, even those bad thoughts can be turned to good and they are actually an opening to success, suddenly a person will act in a completely different way. You know, Abotai, the Zohar Kadosh says something where we can start to understand this concept. If you take our world, and like we said, down represents bad, up represents good. Take away down. I just want to strengthen this thought. Take away the down. Where's up? Where's up? No up. So can you go up or can you go down or not?
No.
So actually, what's causing this upwards motion? It's the hardships. It's a little bit of the yeridot, the little bumps that we go through that causes good. So essentially, in order for us to reach to success, Hashem gave us a gift. This gift is what? It's this negative side that tries to give us a push back and forth. As well, I'll give an example. Because you know, if you take angels, an angel, does he have a good side and a bad side? No, an angel is an angel. He lives, he's a creation of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. There are many angels that they do their job very well. But have you ever heard about an angel receiving reward? Never. The reward only comes with what? When there is that little bit of a hardship, when there is that little bit of a tough area that you have to fight, that brings the success. That actually reward only comes for a person that needs to go through something strong. If a person is able to think a little bit like that, every single day of his life, that even the bad that he goes through is going to bring him a reward, it's going to bring him a success, suddenly the hardships are not that hard. Because suddenly he's looking at every single obstacle as what? As something, as an opportunity exactly in it. As an opportunity to succeed. And every success brings what? Another success. And that's what the Zohar Kadosh says, that, and also mentioned in the Torah, mitzvah, korek mitzvah. A mitzvah that you do causes another mitzvah. Because every time that you win Yetzer Hara, and you wake up in the morning, and Yetzer Hara wants to make you upset, and you overcome Yetzer Hara, and you don't allow him to make you upset, and you defeat him, that mitzvah that just did will cause you to what? To defeat him again. Another mitzvah will be caused by that. Or if a person wakes up in the morning and Yetzer Hara wants to get up and he wants to stop his motivation for doing something a big mitzvah, something big even with life that he can do tzedakah with. Won that obstacle, he won Yetzer Hara then, what did he do in that moment? No, Rabotai, what did he do in that moment? He will cause himself to bring upon himself another mitzvah, another opportunity to bring success upon himself. That Rabotai, if we want to succeed, we need to go through sometimes these hardships. And these are the hardships that bring us success. So now, Rabotai, there's something beautiful with this concept of fighting and fighting in order to achieve a big success to come. The struggles we have is actually the reward that brings us to success. Now we're going to continue. The Zohar HaKadosh says something amazing. That actually, these struggles that we go throughout our life are actually the tools that we make in order to bring our reward to come. Like we just mentioned. The Zohar very rarely brings analogies about stories or anything like that. In this instance, in this Zohar in Parasha Teruma, the Zohar HaKadosh brings a beautiful, beautiful analogy that we can learn a mamash to what extent HaKadosh Baruch Hu actually hires Yetzer Hara to get up and to give us the merit to succeed. So I'll give you an example about it. We know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu didn't create the world to have Bnei Israel or any people be bad. Now, that's clear. The world was created in order for what? For HaKadosh Baruch Hu to allow the Torah to be used, to be acted with. That, like what it said, we say in Pesach, in Haggadah, if the Torah was not created and it was not given to us, Dayenu, that we were all brought down to this world to worship HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to use the Torah as the tools and to, like what the Zohar says, L'ishta'asher in the Torah, to live life with the light of the Torah. So the Zohar asks, if HaKadosh Baruch Hu created us in order to do good and to succeed and to build, how is it that another creation of Hashem, Yetzer Hara, what does he do? He comes and he actually fights a person. That the Yetzer Hara, an evil inclination, an angel, is actually stopping the will of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. How can that something like that be? When we think of another creation going against the will of Hashem. So Zohar HaKadosh says, a beautiful analogy, you can really understand this concept. You know, the Zohar says, it's like one time a king, big king of big country. All his life, it was very hard for him to have kids. And after a long time of waiting to have kids, HaKadosh Baruch Hu blessed him with a son. This son, the king's entire kingdomship was built on the back of this son. That everything was supposed to be given down directly as inheritance to his only boy. The king got up and he wanted to prepare himself to retire. He wanted to prepare himself to step down from his kingdomship and to pass it on to the kid, pass it on to his future. But the king said, in order to give my son such blessing, I need to see whether or not he's worthy of receiving his blessing. A son of a king can't act like every regular person. So the king said, I'm going to do an isayon. I'm going to do a test. He came to his son when he was a young boy. And he told his son, he said, you know, you as a prince, the things that you cannot do. For example, in order to stay at the level where you are, you cannot go and be with a bad woman. There is a way to act. Like even the Prince of London. Have you ever seen the Prince of London doing shtuyot? He can't. Because he's the king, the son of the king. If he's going to shtuyot, the entire world is going to fall him. Or if I come today and I wear a pink shirt or something or shorts, everyone's going to say, what's happening? So each person at his level needs to act accordingly. So the son of the king needs to act accordingly. The king said, throughout your entire life, keep one thing. You stay away from a few things, but especially stay away from bad women. It's not a secret why he said that. One day, Zohar says the king was sitting up by his window, and he saw a woman that was not a righteous woman walking by the palace. So while she was walking by the palace, the king said, you know, I'm going to test my son. His entire life, I trained him to act like a king. Let's see if all this training was effective. So he told his guards, bring me that woman that walked by, that she looks like a very, 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 very unique looking woman at least. They brought the woman. The king said, I have a mission for you. I'm going to give you a big sum of money if you're able to go and make my son fall. If my son falls, I give you a big bag of gold coins. Zohar doesn't give an amount. So this woman, she said, Baruch Hashem, now I have a good work. It's work that I would never receive at any time possible. So she right away started to prepare herself, and she ran to the prince looking where he is. She found the prince. She sees him from far. She says, okay, how am I going to do this? So she comes from the back, and the Zohar says, she tries to make him fall. So she comes, she hugs him, I don't know what she did. She tries to make him fall. The prince looks at her, stops for a second, and pushes her away. He says, go away from me. You are not a good woman. You are not a clean woman. I don't want to be close to you. And he runs back to the palace and he tells the father, you know, this woman jumped on me. She attacked me. We should do something about this. When the king hears this, what does the king feel at that very moment? He's happy. He's proud. His son stood in what? His entire life he's been teaching him. His son is following the steps that he taught him throughout his entire life. The son is worthy to be what? He's worthy to receive all what I built my entire life. He's worthy to receive a crown on his head, and he's worthy to sit on my chair. The Zohar HaKadosh says, this is exactly what happens to each and every one of us when we come down to the world. When we come down to the world, we know what the Zohar HaKadosh says. HaKadosh Baruch Hu took the neshamot of Bnei Israel, and what we call it, he saved the neshamot of Bnei Israel. Why? Because he did what we call Yichud Ilyon. What is Yichud Ilyon? The Zohar HaKadosh says that HaKadosh Baruch Hu took Bnei Israel neshama, and he tied them, and he locked them to his kingdomship. Where suddenly the neshamot of Bnei Israel were not regular neshamot like other nations. Suddenly they were considered to be what? Considered to be sons to the throne of Hashem. That Bnei Israel are held as kids to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is preparing a world to come. That will be a world full of osher, full of sachar, reward. Now HaKadosh Baruch Hu needs to see, are my kids worthy of receiving all this reward? So what did HaKadosh Baruch Hu do? He goes and he brings what? He brings Yetzer Hara. He brings that bad woman. And he sends that bad woman to go and to be the messenger to test his kids. That if his kids pass, what suddenly becomes available to the kids? Big reward. That, Abotai, is how we all need to look at any struggle that we see in our life. That the struggles that come are actually the reward, it's opportunity for reward. That if there was no struggle in our life, there would be no place for reward. A person cannot sit down and think and say, you know, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I want everything on a gold plate, and expect to receive everything on a gold plate. That's opposite. They are the tools that build us as people, as who we are. You know, Abotai, and this is something that is very, very important. That when we hear about all this concept of achieving reward by defeating our bad side, by defeating our evil inclination, the question could be asked, how? How does one actually get up and fight Yetzer Hara? So Zohar HaKadosh Abotai says something simple. The Zohar HaKadosh says, with the help of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That actually, this is something simple. The Zohar HaKadosh is a different Zohar in Parasha Noach, page Kafchet. There it says that if a person sits down and he allows the evil inclination to fight him and to attack him, and he does not get up and does not fight, how do you expect to win a war? How do you expect HaKadosh Baruch Hu to come and help you? The Zohar says the secret to achieving and to defeating any struggle that a person faces is connecting oneself with HaKadosh Baruch Hu and receiving the help. So how do we receive the help? The Zohar says simple. When you go out to war. Because once, the moment you go out to war against Yetzer Hara, the Zohar HaKadosh says HaKadosh Baruch Hu did something amazing. The Zohar says HaKadosh Baruch Hu sees his kid that is walking in the darkness. Because we know what the Zohar compares this world to be what? To be a house which is dark. He sees this kid trying, he's struggling, he's fighting, he wants to win, he wants to stand, he wants to be able to achieve, to come out with success in his hands. But it's dark, and more than that. The Zohar says that he sees his son that is made out of flesh and blood, and the enemy of his son is made out of what? made out of pure fire. So the Zohar says when HaKadosh Baruch Hu sees that, he gets up, and what does he do? He gets up, he grabs the hand of his son, and he fights with a person against all the struggle that he passes throughout his life. That the key to success is actually standing and fighting with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That one who gets up and fights with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, hand in hand, a person like that will achieve success. The Zohar HaKadosh says that every single person, when he sees a struggle in his life, he needs to get up, he needs to thank HaKadosh Baruch Hu for the fact that he gave an opportunity to stand and to fight one-on-one with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That you actually need to thank HaKadosh Baruch Hu for every bad that you gave. Because that bad that you are fighting, those wars that you are fighting, are the tools that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave you in order to pass your tikkun. So in Abotai, there's a concept that we all come down for what? Tikkun. What does tikkun mean in English? Reparation. We don't just come down for no reason. We come down to repair a specific mission. We come down to repair a specific goal. And we need to understand that each tikkun, each reparation of each person is different. That your tikkun is not the same like his tikkun is not the same like your tikkun. That we all have something different to repair. To give an analogy, it's like I tell you, there is different things that you have to fix. One needs to fix the roof of the house. He needs to fix the plumbing. One needs to fix the watch. Maybe there's a clock in the house. One needs to fix the door. Each one has a different thing to repair. And according to the tikkun, the reparation each one comes down to the world to do, what is given to a man? The tools to repair each part of the house. So one person in the roof, he needs to put the how do you say, the black tar? Shingles. So he has the machinery to put the shingles down. Another person is doing the piping, so he has the snake to unclog the pipe. Each one holds different tools. Some tools could be small and expensive and nice. Some tools could be heavy. It could be dirty. Could be hard to move around, dangerous to play with. But each tools are part of the reparation. That essentially the tools are given to us in different shapes. So one person that is tikkun, his reparation is to be giving tzedakah. The tools that are given to him are what? Wealth. Big money. But that is actually the tool that Hashem gave him to repair his tikkun. Another person had ga'ava, had pride in the previous gilgul. So what did Hashem give him? Anger. He gave him a low self-esteem. When the previous gilgul he had ga'ava, he had pride, I am. So this tikkun, Hashem gave him the struggle where he looks at himself and he said, I don't know if I could. I don't know if I could succeed. Maybe another person in the previous gilgul didn't do what he was supposed to do. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu will put him in a position where he has the tools to repair. What are the tools sometimes? Struggles. The Zohar HaKadosh says that those tools that are given to each and every one of us are actually a piece of the Yetzer Hara that we take with us after 120 years to Gan Eden. That even our hardships, even our struggles, come with us after 120 years as what we pride ourselves with. As a piece of true reward, it's like a trophy of victory after fighting a war. The Zohar says a person like that needs to think every single time that maybe even a little bit of a struggle comes down into his life. Because that struggle is placed to succeed. The Zohar also says, if a person sees himself that life is perfect, or he sees himself that, Baruch Hashem, I have everything, nothing necessarily is missing. For that you have to think too. Why do you have to think? Not because Hashem gave you that blessing, but you have to thank Hashem that, you know what? If I was to be put in that situation of a nisayon, of a test, if Hashem didn't put me in that situation, that means maybe I couldn't be able to stand with it. Maybe if Hashem put me in the situation, in the place of my friend, I would fall. So it's not even about thinking about the gift that Hashem gave you. It's thanking Hashem that Hashem takes care as each and every one of us as individual, and He guides each and every one of us as complete entities in order for all of us to reach to our final goal, which is Be'ezrat Hashem Geula, reparation, Tikkun Olam. And that Abotai is something that is very important. Now, Botay, on a more basic level, on a more practical level, how and where do you receive the beracha? Where do you receive the help from Hashem to get up every single day and to go out to war and to win every single day are all our obstacles that we need to pass? So Zohar Kabbalah gives us a very simple recipe, and I'm going to also mix this with the recipe that I give to a lot of the young in the city. Zohar says every morning, when you wake up, the first thing that you need to do is you need to get Hashem by your side. But not Hashem by your side in a way of praying. Praying is nice. But you need to get Hashem by your side, fighting all the struggles that you're going to fight. So Zohar says, first thing you do in the morning is you get up and you tell Hashem, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I today am going to stand strong and I'm going to fight war against Yitzhak. Give me the strength that no matter what I'm going to do today, and no matter what Yitzhak is going to throw on me today, and no matter what I'm going to go through today, I will succeed. That the Zohar, like we previously said, the Zohar actually says that what? Once you do that, you already open the door for HaKadosh Baruch Hu to come and to help you. Where does that go into? Something that we do every day? The concept of every single day, Abotai, asking for what a person needs. But actually, Abotai, if a person prays to go through all the obstacles and prays to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the evil inclination will not defeat him today, a person like that will reach success every single day. And I always say, Abotai, that a lot of the time the biggest obstacle in our life is not even the realistic obstacle that we pass. It's ourselves. So if we're able to find that motivation every single day, it's a new day, to succeed, half the job is already done. So every single day, Abotai, I always tell all the young people, we call it 2 minutes of prayer, but not just prayer, 2 minutes of asking. And this is something that I recommend every single person. That every morning when a person wakes up, he takes 2 minutes and he devotes 2 minutes to do what? Just talking to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, not tefillah, talking to HaKadosh Baruch Hu like a father and a son, asking for all what he needs throughout the day. That a lot of time, Abotai, we find ourselves so distant with HaKadosh Baruch Hu that we don't really sit down and ask, Hashem, I need this, Hashem, I need this. And we don't really build a relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu that is a personal one. 2 minutes a day, Abotai, in the morning, a person takes to go to sit down with his father, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and to ask for what he needs throughout the entire day. And with that, adding that any obstacle that's going to come, he's going to succeed because HaKadosh Baruch Hu is fighting with you. And if a person will be able to do that and will be able to stand with that sigula, there is no obstacle that HaKadosh Baruch Hu will bring success, and there is no obstacle that a person won't come victorious throughout the day. That Abotai is really bad Hashem, what I think we all need to hold on to our head. When we go to war against the evil inclination, we win. The problem starts when we don't necessarily get up and we don't want to fight. Because when we don't want to fight, we sit down. When we sit down, there's also something scary actually when we don't go to war. As I said, every moment that we have a bad thought in our head and we don't get up and try to overcome it, the moment that we do that, the moment that we give those empty moments of air, the Zohar says we're actually feeding Yitzhara and his wife. But we know Yitzhara has a wife. It's not Yitzhara has a wife. It was actually the first wife of who? Of Adam HaRishon. The first wife of Adam HaRishon is now the wife of, so she divorced Adam and went to Satan. She's like that lady that we spoke about. So in any case, Abotai, the moment we don't give Yitzhara our best to fight him, we're giving Yitzhara our strength and we're giving him the power to rule the world and to guide the world. That we cannot take, and that, Abotai, we should not stand to give Yitzhara that candy, that success. So Abotai, the morning is the most important time to get up and to start our day knowing that the obstacles that we need to pass, we will pass. Not only that, there's a different Zohar, and if I'm not mistaken, Parasha Miketz. It's something beautiful, Abotai, about the power of the morning. That we should really, Abotai, take upon ourselves to use the morning to its full potential. As we know, Abotai, there's 3 prayers throughout our day. Each prayer represents a different tzaddik, different forefather, and a different sefirah. Shacharit, Avraham is what? Kindness. The Zohar says, in the moment of the morning, when a person wakes up, and the sun starts to rise, the strength of chesed attribute of kindness comes down to the world and starts to spread across the world. The Zohar says the moment that kindness is spreading, it's available to Bnei Israel, to Reshaim, to Tzadikim, to non-Jews, to animals, to everything. The world in that time is being judged by kindness. The Zohar says when the world is being judged by kindness, there is a Memuneh. Memuneh is an angel that comes from the Darom, which Darom is the side of kindness. His name is what? Raphael. He is the angel that is in charge of Refuah. Maybe tomorrow actually in the Zohar class we're going to speak about Refuah, because there's a lot of things. I think we got now to Shacharit where we should start already. Maybe we got to Pitom HaKetot, maybe tomorrow we're going to speak about healing and Refuah in the Zohar class. But in any case, there is the Malach Raphael. When Malach Raphael is in charge of healing, but healing of everything. Healing of ourselves, healing of physical, healing of our own neshama. But Malach Raphael, he gets up, and the Zohar says he goes to the Gan. He goes to the Gan Eden, and he stands in the middle of the field. When we say field, we don't mention actually field, we mean the higher worlds. And he waits for Sar Israel to come to meet him in the middle. Who is Sar Israel? Michael, Sar Israel. We say that in some of our music, the songs we sing. Michael, Sar Israel. Michael, the king, the minister of Israel. Michael comes, and Zohar said he brings this attribute of kindness to Raphael. The moment the attribute of kindness is brought to Raphael, Raphael takes the kindness, goes down to the world, and collects all the prayers that people are praying at the time of Chesed. And with the strength of the Chesed in one hand and the Tefillot in the other hand, he brings them both to Hashem, and he puts them in front of Hashem. The Zohar says the moment he puts them in front of Hashem, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, on one side, is already acting in kindness, but he also sees the prayers. The moment both of those things are done together, the Zohar says that HaKadosh Baruch Hu brings them together, and he brings people's prayers to a reality. Because it is the time of kindness. The Zohar also adds, and says, in that moment in Shamayim, there are prisoners of the king. What are prisoners of the king? People who are going through what? Struggle, judgment. People are going through hard times. That in the moment that a person is going through a hard time, going through a struggle, the prisoner of the king, at the time that the king is in a good mood of kindness, what does the prisoners do? They get up and they say, the king, please, I'm sorry. Forgive me. Release me from this judgment, from this punishment. If the king is in a state of kindness, what is he going to do? He's going to release a person from his struggle, release a person from his hardships. So it's actually about that time, a segula, a moment where we can grab to really Be'at Hashem, receive kindness throughout the entire day. So Abotai, I advise everyone, start Be'at Hashem tomorrow. Take your phone, this is what I say. You take your phone, you put 2 minutes. Timer. You put the phone in front of you. 2 minutes is very short. How much time do people use? I asked someone one time how many time people use on their phone. Someone told me 12 hours. 2 minutes. 2 minutes. 60 seconds twice. You put in front of your. You put the phone in front of your face, not in front of you. Put the 2 minutes. You take 2 minutes to ask HaKadosh Baruch Hu all what you want for today and all what you want in general. It's easier to ask than to think. That's how we are. It's our nature. So to start by asking Hashem is very easy. I find that amazing that Baruch Hashem Jews have so much to ask for that 2 minutes is not enough. But still, I say you stick to the 2 minutes in order for you to be, what has a short quantity is always valuable, more valuable. Take those 2 minutes and you ask and you don't pass those 2 minutes. When the timer stops, what do? You pause no matter what you ask him. So if you were to ask him, please give me pa, and it stopped, that's it. No more pa. The next day you're going to have to speak a little bit faster to catch up. And you take the 2 minutes to ask Hashem all what you need, and especially to ask Hashem to stand with us through all our hardships, and to be with us, and to have that confidence that no matter what one will go through, he will succeed because he has the tools and he has the power within him to succeed in any struggle that exists. May HaKadosh big bracha and atzlacha and big b'siyata d'shmaya. May HaKadosh Baruch Hu bless everyone. For those, a lot of young people, for all those who are looking for their zivug, Rabbi Pinto will find their zivug. All those who need panasa will have panasa. And may HaKadosh Baruch Hu B'at Hashem bring us all together with all our eyes to see the building of the third Bet Migdash and the third Rabbi, is there any questions?
I have a question.
Can Rabbi Ariel?
First of all, I think that it was, for me, one of the most beautiful lectures you've ever given.
My head is not here today, so I was, Rabbi Ariel, my head is...
No, I really mean it. And for me, it was a very meaningful lecture. And thank you very much. And I think like what you said at the beginning, if you can apply what you said, you can really change your life. So the part that struck me a lot was when you say when something is bad going on, let's take an example, a boss is mean to you or puts you down. Or let's say you get into a fight with somebody. Or let's say you're worried about the sale you were going to do that doesn't go through. Whatever the pinch is, like we talk about the struggle is. You say you need to understand that that's the Yetzer Hara that's taking, and you have to turn that around in a U-turn and use it to the positive.
You have to recognize that's Yetzer Hara.
That's Yetzer Hara, and then use it as a way to conquer it, to put in your mind that it's a test and that you're going to defeat it, to turn it into positive.
The biggest mistake when people when they don't necessarily declare, I'm going to use now a word, declare war. Okay. Sometimes when you struggle, and sometimes we get so deep into our struggles, that it's hard to wake up and say, wow, this is not just life hitting me, this is actually somebody that's trying to hurt me. This is Yetzer Hara trying to pull me down. And naturally, we have some sort of self-ego, where no one's going to pull us down, you're going to pull me down. So the moment you start to think like that, you get up and you say, no, I'm going to fight Yetzer Hara. And suddenly, you give yourself a motivation to get up and to actually go through your struggles and come out with success. But if you're just going to sit down, like we said, and not fight them, not try to solve them, just like the Zohar says, you sit down and you wait, how do you expect Hashem to help you? How do you expect to receive the koach, the power, even inside power, to get up and to fight your struggles?
So that was my question. My question is, you recognize it. If a boss puts you down, or you miss a parasha, or you say, well, this is a test. How in a practical way, once you recognize it, how do you turn it around? How do you fight?
I think the first step is recognizing.
Yes, absolutely.
Once you recognize, you're already halfway done.
How about the second half?
The second half, it depends on the actual situation. So to each struggle, there is a different solution. For one person's solution, it could be health, it could be getting up and doing tefillah. Because health, Bemet, is a concept of tefillah. The Zohar says there's not more you can do except for tefillah and do your ishtadlut, your effort to bring a refuah. But in every single situation, most of our problems are problems that we can solve ourselves, or we can find the solution to our problems, and we just don't have the strength within ourselves to get up and to do so. So once a person actually gets up, and he takes upon himself, look, I'm going to fight Yetzer Hara, because now I understand it is not actually something that is out of my power, out of my hands, because if it's happening to me, that means Hashem gave me the tools to fight it. But if I were to not receive it, maybe it's because I don't have the tools. But Hashem gave you this struggle, so He also made sure you have the tools. The tools are hidden within you. The biggest part is recognizing and getting up and finding the motivation within yourself to stand in front of Yetzer Hara and to fight. Because the tools we all have.
Perseverance.
Perseverance, I don't know what that means.